Why do we trust those who later destroy us? Why do the worst people often wear the kindest faces? Today, we uncover the patterns, the tactics, and the psychology of the wicked, so they never get close enough to harm you again. This is not paranoia. This is strategy. This is survival. Let us begin with the most dangerous trait of the bad man, his face. You see, when evil wears the skin of a monster, you are safe, because monsters are easy to spot. Fangs, blood, violence, these are warnings that even a fool can recognize. But the truly dangerous man, the one who ruins lives and rots kingdoms from within, wears something far more disarming, a smile. He presents himself not as a threat, but as a friend. His charm is calculated, not spontaneous. His compliments are not gifts, they are bait. And every word he speaks is dipped in honey, not because he is sweet, but because poison tastes better that way. He understands one truth better than most. To control others, you must first calm them. Fear is useful, yes. But adoration is slavery with silk chains. In the court of politics, in the marketplace, even in your own household. These smiling devils learn your language, your desires, your fears, and they mirror them. If you love loyalty, he swears allegiance. If you admire strength, he postures with boldness. If you seek kindness, he performs it like a stage actor, always under the spotlight, but never from the soul. Now listen carefully. Such a man never reveals himself too quickly. He will let you believe you have discovered him. He will drop breadcrumbs of honesty, little flaws, mild admissions, just enough to make you feel as though you've seen behind the curtain. And just when you're convinced he is real, he owns you. He knows the weaknesses you've shared, the hopes you confessed, the mistakes you buried. All of it now rests in his vault, and it will be used when the moment is right, not a second before. But what separates the bad from the merely cunning is this: he does not act for gain alone. He acts for dominance. It's not enough to benefit from you, he wants to control you. And control is best achieved when the subject willingly opens the gates. That is why charm is his weapon of choice. It does not stab, it seduces. The handshake, the warm laughter, the eye contact, all are rehearsed. Not to connect, but to disarm. You will find this type of man everywhere. The boss who praises you while setting traps behind the curtain. The friend who always has your back, but somehow always has something to gain. The lover who showers you in affection, only to manipulate you into obedience when the emotions run deep. Their strategy is old, older than any empire. Pretend to be noble, cloak ambition in morality, display kindness while calculating power moves. They don't need you to believe in them. They just need you to doubt your instincts. The wolf beneath the smile isn't only dangerous because of what he wants. It's because of what he hides. And the most terrifying thing is this: if he's good at it, you will defend him before you ever suspect him. You will cut off those who warn you. You will say he would never. And that is exactly when he wins. Because the good man assumes that truth looks honest, but the bad man knows that truth is just a costume, and he chooses which mask to wear depending on his audience. He doesn't lie outright at first. No, he misleads, he omits, he creates confusion. He speaks in half-truths because half a truth is more powerful than a whole lie. It sounds close enough to believe, but distant enough to manipulate. He smiles when you cry, comforts you when he's the one who caused the pain, and praises you for traits he secretly despises. He molds his presence like clay, fitting into whatever shape you need, until you can no longer distinguish where your thoughts end and his influence begins. He does not force you. He guides you gently, with elegance, with warmth, with poison hidden in velvet. And when you're finally tangled in his web, when you realize something is wrong but cannot quite name it, you will hesitate, Because the face that stares back at you is not that of a monster, but of someone you trusted, someone who made you feel seen, someone who always smiled. That's when it's too late. There are two kinds of enemies in this world. The first holds a sword to your throat. The second brings you wine and calls you friend. Fear the second more. The bad person does not begin with betrayal. No, betrayal is the destination, not the introduction. He enters your life gently, as an ally, as someone who appears to speak your language, wear your colors, share your values. He mimics loyalty, he counterfeits honor, he doesn't rush. He plays the long game, because real power is not taken by force, it is surrendered by trust. He studies your habits like a scholar. He learns what you admire. He discovers what you despise. Then he uses that knowledge to mold himself into the perfect companion. His appearance, harmless, his tone, supportive, but beneath this mask lies calculation. He is not here to coexist. He is here to outmaneuver. This is the art of deception, mastering the illusion of allegiance while serving one's own ambition. It is not always loud, it is not always cruel, it is, in fact, often beautiful. The words are elegant. The gestures are warm. The actions initially were even helpful. But every kindness is measured, every gift is a transaction. And behind each act of loyalty, there is a ledger being kept. You will not see the deception at first, because you are not meant to. That is the craft. He will support you when no one else does, not because he cares, but because that earns your trust. He will defend you in public not out of love, but because public loyalty buys private leverage. And every secret you share, every weakness you reveal, becomes another piece of currency in his hidden vault. He does not betray suddenly. No, betrayal is revealed gradually, like a painting under fading light. One day, a favor you cannot say no to. Another day, a guilt you cannot explain. Then, a silence when you needed his voice most. And eventually, you realize this was never about friendship. It was always about control. But by then, you are already entangled. You've trusted him with too much. You've defended him too often. You've placed your reputation on his shoulders, and now you are forced to carry his weight. Because to admit the truth that he has deceived you would mean admitting your own blindness, and most men would rather remain deceived than face the shame of being fooled. The art of deception also thrives in flattery. The bad person praises your ideas not because he agrees with them, but because he wants you to lower your guard. He amplifies your ego so that you become deaf to doubt. He mirrors your beliefs so that you see him as an extension of yourself. And in that illusion, he disappears from suspicion. He becomes invisible, and the invisible man is the most dangerous of all. Even when you begin to sense something, when his words no longer match his actions, when his praise begins to feel rehearsed, you will hesitate to act. Because he's already positioned himself too close, you will ask yourself, what if I'm wrong? That's how he wins. And should you ever confront him, he will not panic. No, he will pivot. He will cry loyalty. He will claim misunderstanding. He will say, "You know me better than that." And the frightening thing is, you'll want to believe him. Because the bad man does not destroy from the outside. He waits until he is inside the gates, holding your trust in one hand and your secrets in the other. Then, and only then, does he strike. He is not always an enemy from the beginning. Often, he is the one you first thanked, first confided in, even admired. And that is the genius of his strategy. You will spend more time defending him than protecting yourself. By the time you see clearly, you'll already be bleeding, with no wound visible, only a hollow where your trust once lived. It is not always the strong who dominate the weak. Sometimes it is the weak who conquer the strong without ever lifting a sword. The most dangerous person in the room is not the loud one, nor the bold one. It is the one who whispers, the one who bends and bows, the one who trembles before you, not out of respect, but as a tactic. There is a kind of evil that does not shout or strike. It does not intimidate, it pleases, it whimpers, it plays the role of the victim, the broken, the misunderstood. It turns your strength against you by exploiting the one thing you least expect to be used as a weapon: your kindness. The bad person knows he cannot win in a contest of strength. He cannot overpower, he cannot compete. But he does not need to, because the world as it is now rewards fragility when performed with precision. The performance is everything, and weakness, when weaponized, becomes a tool of absolute control. He will make you feel responsible for him. That is his goal. He will create scenarios where he always suffers, always struggles, always just needs a little more. More time, more patience, more help, and the moment you deny him any of it, you become the villain in his story. This is not a true weakness, it is a strategy. He builds his power by placing himself beneath you, never beside. If he appears helpless, you will feel obligated. If he appears broken, you will rush to fix him. And every time you carry his weight, he becomes heavier, not because his burden grows, but because yours does. What makes this tactic so effective is that it is invisible. The good man cannot imagine that weakness could be feigned. He assumes pain is always real, suffering always honest. And that assumption is the crack in the wall the bad person slips through. He will exaggerate every misfortune, every injustice, every wound, real or imagined. He thrives in chaos because suffering becomes currency. The more he suffers, the more he demands, and the more you give, the more he takes, until your resources, your time, even your will to resist begins to vanish. And if you ever begin to step back, if you dare to set boundaries, he will escalate. He will accuse you of cruelty. He will claim betrayal. He will tell others how cold you became, how you abandoned him in his hour of need. And those others, if they too are blind to this strategy, will believe him, because who questions the man who cries the loudest? Even in groups, this pattern festers. You will find them in every community, every court, every household. Those who sabotage progress by always claiming to be left behind. And when progress pauses to accommodate their sorrow, they have already won. Because now, the strongest are made to carry the slowest, not out of fairness, but out of emotional blackmail. This person will pretend to admire your strength while secretly resenting it. He will speak highly of your success while quietly feeding off your effort. And when your energy fades, when your patience cracks, he will remind you of every sacrifice you made for him and turn that sacrifice into proof that you owe him more. He may even compare wounds with you, not to understand, but to compete. If you have known hardship, he has known worse. If you show pain, he shows more. He will not allow your suffering to outshine his, because his power depends on being the center of every sympathy. He will not thank you for lifting him. He will demand that you never stop. And once you collapse, broken under the weight of his helplessness, he will find another to carry him, never once looking back. This is how weakness rules the strong, not through war, but through guilt, not with force, but with dependence. And in the end, you will not even recognize it as conquest. You will call it compassion. You will call it duty. But what it truly is surrender in disguise. Most believe that evil flees from light, that once unmasked, the bad man withers. But I tell you, this exposure does not end danger. it often begins. The greatest mistake the innocent make is assuming that the moment a deceitful soul is revealed, the game is over. That the confrontation will make the villain retreat, feel shame, disappear. But that belief is a fantasy for children. The truth is darker. When the mask falls, the threat intensifies. The bad man, once seen for what he truly is, no longer has to maintain appearances. He no longer plays nice. He no longer flatters. Now he fights, not with honesty, but with venom. And because he has already mapped your weaknesses, he knows exactly where to strike. You see, exposure is not a defeat for him. It is transformation. When you discover his lies, he shifts the narrative. He does not apologize. He does not reflect. He retaliates. He becomes the victim, the martyr, the one unjustly accused. He rewrites the story, not with truth, but with urgency. And those who don't know the full picture, those who only hear his cries, not his crimes, become his new army. He does not stand alone. He drags others into his defense. He will say you misunderstood him. He will claim betrayal, that you were never loyal, that your expectations were cruel. And if he has built enough sympathy in others before you exposed him, you will find yourself outnumbered. There is a deep and hidden fury in the deceiver who is caught. You have disrupted his performance. You have cost him access, influence, and image. And image for such a man is everything. He may have no principles, but he has pride, and that pride, once wounded, seeks revenge. He will not strike like an enemy. He will poison like a former friend. He will leak your secrets, question your sanity, twist your past. He will not confront you directly. He will turn others against you quietly. Conversations in the shadows, doubts planted like seeds, whispers that grow into storms, and you will begin to feel the isolation. The shift in tone, the glances that weren't there before. People who once supported you now hesitate because he's already ahead of you. While you were focused on truth, he was building a shield out of perception. The danger of exposure is not only that the bad person fights back, it is that he becomes unpredictable. He has nothing left to protect. His charm is useless now, so he turns to destruction. If he cannot control you, he will discredit you. If he cannot possess your loyalty, he will destroy your name. And here lies the deepest cruelty. Others will not always see the game. Because he will cry louder than you. He will bleed louder than you. And in a world that judges emotion louder than evidence, he will appear to be the wounded one. Do not assume silence is surrender either. Some bad people, once exposed, vanish. But not because they have given up. They retreat to plan, to stalk, to collect information. They bide their time, waiting for your guard to drop. Then they return, not as themselves, but in new forms, through others, through rumor, through false reconciliation. Sometimes they do not want to ruin you immediately. They want to watch you unravel. They want to smile as others slowly pull away from you. They want to make you question your own perception, to wonder if you overreacted, if maybe they weren't so bad after all. That seed of doubt, that is how they regain power. The worst ones study your mind. They know what guilt looks like on you. They know how to frame their retaliation so that even you feel responsible. They will weaponize your moral code, your sense of fairness, your compassion. They will convince you that punishing them is cruelty and sparing them is wisdom. And when you hesitate, they strike again. Some enemies, once unmasked, become desperate. Others become strategic. The smart ones already anticipated this moment. They laid traps in advance, built narratives months before you noticed. They made sure you'd look unstable, or bitter, or vindictive, and now, when you speak the truth, it sounds like madness. Now you have seen the true nature of the dangerous man, not the barbarian, not the obvious tyrant, but the one who wears virtue like a cloak, who deceives with affection, who conquers through fragility and retaliates when unmasked. These are not rare creatures. They are everywhere, in the family, in the court, in the mirror, even if one is not vigilant. Most men are blind to this, not because the signs are invisible, but because the truth is inconvenient. It is easier to believe in goodness than to prepare for betrayal. It is more comforting to be liked than to be safe, and yet, what has comfort ever protected you from? You must learn to observe with cold eyes. Do not judge a man by how he speaks of morality, but by how he uses it. Do not fall for the performance of weakness. See the architecture behind it. And when you expose the wolf, do not expect him to flee. Expect him to hunt. To survive among such people, you must be two things: patient in observation and ruthless in clarity. Trust must be earned with time, not offered in hope. Affection must be measured. Sympathy must be questioned, not because you are cruel, but because you refuse to be conquered by deception. In this world, the naive are devoured not by fate, but by those they once called friends. Remember that.